We're going to dive into an ancient story about a very, very modern problem, a crisis of faith. And we're going to see how the design of just one building, the ancient Israelite temple, offered a powerful answer to one person's deep struggle with the unfairness of the world.
I mean, have you ever just looked around and felt like things just aren't right, you know? That good people seem to suffer while arrogant people get everything they want? It's a feeling that can really, really shake you. Well, if you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. There was an ancient poet, a psalmist, who felt this so intensely that it almost completely shattered his faith. His big mistake was a flawed perspective, something we can call keyhole theology. And how he got out of it? Well, it's fascinating. So, the psalmist's crisis all started with this incredibly limited view. He was basically trying to make sense of the whole universe by looking at it through a tiny, tiny keyhole. So what is keyhole theology? Well, it's when you define all of reality, God, justice, what's fair, based only on the little slice of life you can see from your own limited experience. The source material compares it to a horse with blinders on. You can only see what's directly in front of you, not the whole massive picture. And when he looked through his keyhole, what did he see? He saw wicked people getting rich, living totally carefree lives. He saw them openly mocking God, acting like he didn't exist or just didn't care. And at the exact same time, he saw himself and other faithful people suffering, even though they were trying to do everything right. From his perspective, the whole system looked completely broken. Now, this narrow, frustrating view didn't just make him sad. It started pulling him down a really dangerous ladder, step by step away from his faith. Here's how it happened. First, he started with his problem, all the injustice he saw, and tried to fit God into that tiny little box. Second, he started to envy the wicked, their prosperity, their comfort. That became his new standard, his new God. And finally, third, he came dangerously close to slipping altogether, to just losing his foothold in the world of faith. You know, a writer named Bishop Ross put it perfectly. He said the psalmist's basic mistake is that he was defining God by his problem rather than allowing God to define his problem. See the difference? He was starting with his temporary struggles to try and figure out an eternal God, and that is just a recipe for despair. But just as he was about to lose his grip, something shifted. There was a turning point that took him from total despair and set him on a completely new path toward understanding his true destiny. And right here, he makes this absolutely crucial choice. Faced with a crisis that made him question everything, he didn't walk away from God. He did the exact opposite. He walked into the sanctuary, directly toward the presence of God. And that's the central question for us, right? What happened inside that building? What did he see? What did he experience in the temple that could so radically change his perspective and pull him back from the edge? Well, the answer lies in what the temple actually represented. For the ancient Israelites, this wasn't just a building made of stone and wood, it was literally a window into another reality. The temple was designed to be a physical replica, a tangible metaphor for the spiritual reality of heaven. It was a way to experience the eternal, right here on earth. It was built to be a copy of the heavenlies. And this created this incredibly powerful contrast. Outside was the profane world, which simply means before the temple, a world that was temporary, flawed, and finite, but when you stepped inside, you entered a sacred space that represented the eternal, the perfect, the infinite. So how did one building pull this off? Well, our source material breaks it down into 4 key functions, 4 jobs that it had. It was symbolic, a copy of heaven. It was atypical, a pattern of what was to come. It was sacramental, a place for real communion with God. And it was artistic. It used architecture as a kind of propaganda, in the best sense of the word, to promote a whole worldview. And this idea of architecture as propaganda, it's not some ancient, dusty concept. We see it all the time today. Think about the grand marble buildings in Washington, D.C. They're designed to shout power and endurance. Or university libraries that are built like cathedrals. But instead of saints, they've got statues of thinkers like Voltaire. They are making a very clear statement about reason. Every design choice promotes a worldview. The temple did the exact same thing. And it wasn't just the quiet, still building. The worship experience itself was intentionally designed to be an overwhelming, immersive event that grabbed all of your senses. Think about how worship evolved. Early on, in the desert, it was a simple, mobile thing in a tent. But then King David transformed it.
He fixed it in Jerusalem and basically turned worship into an opera. He added grand staging, the libretto of the Psalms, powerful music, and this whole cast of priests, kings, and prophets. It became a fully immersive, sensory experience.
Okay, so let's get back to our psalmist. He's at his lowest point. He walks into this immersive, symbolic place, and he's just overwhelmed by a sense of the eternal. And that changes everything.
Stepping inside the temple was like someone literally taking the blinders off his eyes. The sheer physicality of the place, the sounds, the sights, the rituals, it immersed him in a reality that just screamed of eternity and God's ultimate plan. This powerful sensory experience is what finally allowed him to see beyond the limited horizon of his own suffering. He was able to transcend his keyhole theology.
And his perspective just completely flips. He goes from being eaten up with envy of the wicked to this powerful declaration. He realizes that having God is worth more than anything the world could possibly offer him. His true treasure isn't on earth, it's in heaven.
And this is the ultimate resolution. And it's so crucial to get this. The psalmist's external problems didn't just disappear. The world outside was probably still unfair. What changed was internal. His entire definition of wealth, of what matters, shifted. He realized that true value wasn't found in temporary riches, but in his eternal connection to God.
So this ancient story leaves us with a really powerful modern question. The psalmist's perspective was totally reshaped by the temple he walked into. And since architecture and immersive environments still tell us what is real and what is valuable, what are the modern temples, the buildings, the digital spaces, the institutions that are shaping our worldviews today?